I think there could be a number of factors, but I think most of all, the abduction of a Thai dissident in Phnom Penh. His name is Wanchalerm. He was abducted in July, early July. And then even though there has been no clear evidence, but somehow the public seem to believe that there is a connection between the palace and the forced disappearance. So I think that kind of like kick off the protest because they demand the palace to come out to sort of responsible for what happened. And on top of that, there's a number of reasons. For example, the dissolution of the Future Vote Party. Again, the public see it as the palace manipulating behind the scene. So I guess that this is now the time for them to come out and call for a reform of the monarchy.
I'll come back to the Thai dissidents who are overseas in just a moment, but these protesters are calling on not just the Prime Minister to resign, but for there to be reforms to the monarchy. Now, that's radical, isn't it?
It's quite radical. As someone who has campaigned for a serious discussion on the monarchy reform myself, I find this could be a turning point because in the past, I think the call for a reform has been sort of suppressed by the existence of lèse majesté law, but this time it has been sort of pushed by large group of students. In fact, it's just basically students across the nation, not just university students this day. In the past few days, you have seen the sort of uprising of students in high school as well, who have demanded that the monarchy must now be under the constitution. So I think, yes, it could be radical in everyone's point of view.
Can you just explain those laws a little more fully to us? Because the criticism of the monarchy in Thailand does carry severe penalties. So what is at risk for the protesters?
Well, right now, of course, criticizing the monarchy, you could be charged with lèse majesté, right? But I don't think the government would want to go that far because for them to use lèse majesté, of course, they would be condemned by international organizations for violating human rights. So that's why I think they are trying to use, other kind of legal instrument. For example, they would charge this student with Computer Crime Act instead. But nonetheless, I think these are all sort of dangerous or at risk, for all students. That go to show that this group of students, they are willing to risk, even to the point of being charged either by lèse majesté or by Computer Crime Act.
Okay, so is anyone in government or the monarchy, are they paying attention? Are they listening to this? Have they responded?
Well, the king, basically, he lived full-time in Germany. He only come home basically for a short holiday. The last time he was in Bangkok just a few days ago on Mother's Day, the 12th of August, he did not say anything. So he pretended that nothing had happened. As for the government, basically still using, as I said, legal instrument in order to suppress students. We don't know how far the student could go, as well as we don't know how far the government would tolerate this kind of protests.
And as you were mentioning at the beginning there, the protesters are also calling for an investigation into cases of abduction and the killing of Thai dissidents overseas. So is there any evidence to that form?
Well, I mean, there could never be evidence when someone's basically just disappeared, right? But I mean, if you look back, in my own observation, there have been almost 10 people being abducted, either abducted or killed. Most of them were anti-monarchists. So that's why, this kind of evidence in itself sort of led the people to believe that there must be some sort of involvement between the palace and the dissident. And then for the student, enough is enough. Especially the latest victim, who's very young, the student today on the street can relate to him. He's only about in his early 30s and he disappeared in Phnom Penh. So yeah, there would never be any solid evidence, but many things had led the student to believe the involvement.
Associate Professor Pavin Chachavalpongpun, thanks very much for joining us.